Hello guys and welcome back to Ollie's on the Ball. This is my round 8 tips video. So really shaping up the season, who's good, who's not. Geelong leading the pack currently 7-0. Headline Sydney, GWS second and third. But this is a very big round. Lots of big clashes, lots of rivalries, lots of positions at stake. Last week I got 7 out of 9 tips. Not a bad round, but lots of people got a high number of tips. 4 out of 9 I was calls. I was unlucky on a few, but still pretty good round from that perspective. Heading into the first match, this is a very good match to kick things off. Adelaide Oval, 7:30pm Thursday. It's the showdown. Port Adelaide, Adelaide. Adelaide last week 2-5, defeated North Melbourne by 57. It was a good showing. I was there and Adelaide dominated. North Melbourne didn't have much hope. Port Adelaide record 5-2 last week, defeated St Kilda by 10. They dominated. They deserved to win by more. This should be a fairly close match and should be very interesting. Showdowns though, it doesn't matter where you are on the ladder. You can play well and win, like Adelaide 1-2 last year. Port Adelaide with some injuries, so I'm going to go the upset tip Adelaide by 9. With my Ollie's called, there are 7+ lead changes. Showdowns are always pretty close, or like an upset, so I reckon there'll be quite a few lead changes. Moving into the next match, Carlton v Collingwood, MCG 7:40pm Friday. Carlton 5-2. This is a bumper clash. Last week lost to Geelong by 13. Not a great performance, but as in Geelong are looking very good, so they can come back for it. They're still in the top 6. Collingwood 3-1-3. Last week drew to Essendon. What a match that was. One of the greatest Anzac Day matches ever. This should be a pretty close game. You would expect close to 90,000 at the G on a Friday night. And I'm gonna go probably the expected tip with the way Collingwood have played so far this season. I'm tipping Carlton by 17. My others call more than 170 combined points are scored. In Carlton's last 3 games, I think they've scored over 100 for 2, or they scored 98 in one, and they've had 2 losses. They've been involved in 3 shootouts in 3 weeks, so I reckon it would be quite high scoring. Moving on to the next match, SCG 1:45pm Saturday. This is the Battle of the Bridge. 3 absolute blockbusters to kick off the round. Sydney record 6-1 last week, defeated Hawthorn by 76. It was a pretty good win. Hawthorn I didn't watch much of this game, but Hawthorn didn't seem like they played very well. Sydney just an easy win. GWS 6-1 last week, defeated Brisbane by 54. Pretty good performance. Smashed them after half time. This should be a very close game, similar to last year's Battle of the Bridge. I'm going to go, I don't know whether this is an upset. I'm going to tip GWS by 2. With my Ollie's call that the winning goal is scored in the last 5 minutes. St Kilda v North Melbourne, so 3 blockbusters, and then we come up with this very not good game. They won't even get 20,000 there, I don't reckon. St Kilda record 2-5 last week, lost to Port Adelaide by 10. Not a great performance. If they lose this St Kilda, their finals hopes are basically over before they even started. North Melbourne 0-7. Last week lost to Adelaide by 57. At this point, they may as well just try and win the wooden spoon for draft picks. They won that last game last year, and then they've missed out on Harley Reid, who looks like an absolute superstar already. This should be a pretty comfortable win for St Kilda. But North Melbourne, I've just got see in my back of the head that North Melbourne good win. But this will probably be a pretty bad game. I'm going to tip the Saints by 32. My eyes call North Melbourne, St Kilda score 100 plus points. MCG 7:30pm Saturday. Melbourne v Geelong. Melbourne 5-2 last week defeated Richmond by 43. Richmond didn't look amazing. Melbourne just dominated the second half. Very low scoring game, not a great game of footy. Geelong, record 7-0 last week, defeated Carlton by 13. Good performance. They were challenged at times, but they withstood the challenge and won by 13 in a shootout. This should be a pretty good match for Saturday night footy. And you could go either way, but the Cats have looked absolutely superb this season, so I'm going to tip Geelong by 24, with my eyes call Hawkins and Cameron combined for 5+ goals. Optus Stadium, 8:10pm Saturday, West Coast Essendon. West Coast 2-5, last week lost to Gold Coast by 37. West Coast. Essendon 4-1-2, played in the draw last week against Collingwood, as I stated earlier. Amazing game. There will be some people, I reckon, who will tip West Coast, given they were pretty promising against the Suns and missing probably their best player in their 2 wins, which was Harley Reid, definitely best player in the Derby. But I'm going to go the safe option. I'm going to tip Essendon by 31. They've looked pretty good this season. With my eyes call, Jake Waterman kicks 3+ goals. He's looked pretty good this season, and even if West Coast lose, he'll probably still kick a couple. Richmond v Fremantle, MCG 1pm Sunday. Richmond 1-6 last week, lost to Melbourne by 43. Fremantle 4-3 last week, defeated the Bulldogs by 24. Richmond haven't looked great this season, and their only win come in and upset over Sydney. Freo looked good, looked absolutely on fire in their first 3 games, followed up by 3 losses, but 2 were close, and then the loss against West Coast was just disappointing. It was a good win. This should be a pretty easy tip, but it is in Melbourne, so that gives the Tigers something. But I'm going to tip Freo by 47, with my eyes call Freo lead by 20+ at half time. Moving on, Western Bulldogs Hawthorn. Western Bulldogs 3-4 last week, lost to Freo by 24. This is at Marvel, 4pm on the Sunday afternoon. Hawthorn 1-6 lost to Sydney by 76. Pretty disappointing showing from Hawthorn, only scoring 40-odd points. The Bulldogs, they played well. It was a pretty high-intensity match, but then Freo kicked a couple of late goals in that last quarter to steal an easy victory in the end. This is a pretty obvious tip for most people. You'd think Western Bulldogs, by 51 I'll go. With my Ollie's call, Hawthorn score less than 70 points. In their past couple of games, apart from playing against North Melbourne, they just can't score. Brisbane v Gold Coast, pretty good game to end off the round. At the start of the season, if you told me Gold Coast would have 2 more wins than Brisbane after 7 games, I would be laughing. Brisbane 2-5 last week, lost to GWS by 54. Good first half, second half, they just weren't there. Maybe they packed up early so they could get back to the Gabba, because GWS absolutely dominated. Gold Coast defeated West Coast by 37, expected win, but it was a gutsy win given West Coast had all this, were suddenly playing well, and even though they're missing Harley Reid, showed a bit of fight, so that's a win a game you want to win, and it's not a good one to lose. This should be pretty close. Gold Coast actually did win the Q Clash last year at Metricon, and they actually are higher on the ladder. And Brisbane are 0-3 at the Gabba this year, so I'm going to go probably an upset. I'm going to tip Gold Coast by 6. My eyes call that Anderson, Rowell and Flanders combined for 70 disposals and 3 goals. Thanks for watching Ollie's on the Ball. Make sure to like and subscribe, and if you enjoy the content, go check out the video down below, and see you next time.